What's up guys, welcome to this review, and today I'm reviewing Avengers Endgame. And it's brilliant. It's really good. If you like the Marvel films, this is obviously a must-see for you, and it's kind of the end of the storyline that's been going on for 11 years now. It's a very suitable end. It's going to be tough for me to talk about this in non-spoilers, but I have got some things to say. Later on, I'm going to go into spoilers. I'll make it very clear that I'm going into spoilers as well. So, what's this film about? Well, it follows on from Avengers Infinity War, in that the Avengers are now dealing with the aftermath of that movie. If you know what happens at the end of that movie, you know what I'm talking about. And you should have seen Infinity War before going to see this. This is very much a continuation of the events in that movie. And so it starts off, the film's kind of depressing. It's very somber, very subtle stuff going on there. The first hour or so, I want to say, is very much a character-driven thing, showing you the emotions, showing you the Avengers dealing with what's happened, and yeah, quite emotional stuff in that first hour. Problem is that the first hour can be a little slow. It's not that the stuff's boring, it's not that the stuff's bad, the stuff's actually really good, but it's not quite what you would expect from an Avengers film at that point. Again, not bad, just, yeah, a little on the slow side. Then, once the actual story kicks up a notch, it does pick up, it becomes much more of an adventure, it becomes much more fun in like the second hour onwards, and at that point it just keeps amping up the pacing all the way through the film to the finale. And that's one of the things I want to praise about the story, is the pacing. Is it does start off slow, but it keeps getting quicker and quicker and quicker, more action-packed, more adventurous, more fun as it goes on, and that's great. So that first hour that I was on about being slow, it makes perfect sense because that's all the character development, which then makes the end resonate much more. So it's really smart filmmaking. There's a lot of fan service in the story. Not going to dive into what that is exactly because that's spoiler territory, but if you're a big Marvel fan, if you're a big fan of these films, there are certain moments, certain events that you've probably been wanting to see or hoping to see. Chances are you're going to see them in this film, and chances are the way that they're done in this film is better than you even imagined. So yeah, I'll get into some of that later on. But yeah, a lot of fan service in here, and it feels earned, feels very deserved, and feels very natural as well. It doesn't always feel forced in. There are a couple of examples where maybe they could have done something a little different. But yeah, fan service, great for the most part. So I've talked about how the first hour was very emotional, very sad, almost depressing. The second hour is much more fun and adventurous, and then the final hour is very epic. The film does a really good job of just playing with your emotions, both positive and negative. It really makes you happy, it really makes you sad, and it makes you everything else in between, from angry to scared and so on and so forth. And that's really good. It shows that these characters are well developed, it shows that the story's well paced and well thought out. So yeah, thumbs up for them for doing that and managing to achieve that. Of course, it also helps that you've had 22 films before this, well, 21 films before this, all building up to this. So, yeah, that helps. So this is a Marvel movie. Despite the fact that there are sad moments, despite the fact that it is somewhat depressing in the first hour, there are funny moments throughout. In fact, this is actually probably one of the funniest movies they've made so far. The jokes really work, they feel really well placed and put in at certain moments. So, yeah, that's a tough thing to do, especially when there's so much emotion, so much at stake in this, that they're still having time to have a laugh. So yeah, great job on that front. I've got two little minor quibbles about the story though. The first up is that it's 3 hours long. The film is long. Now, the 3 hours flies by, but at the end of the day, it's still 3 hours. I've only seen the film once. I do think I need to see the film again to really appreciate it and see how it works on repeat viewings. I've heard people say that on repeat viewings it's actually way better, but because there's a lot to process in this film. Chances are you're going to sit down and watch this film, you're going to then forget about certain things, which certainly I must have. So yeah, I recommend you go and see this twice, and 3 hours is a long time to sit through, especially when the first hour feels a little on the slow side. And there are certainly scenes where they could have trimmed them down or cut them out altogether. Now, again, I don't think there's anything in this film that's really bad, but not entirely necessary, some of the stuff, I have to admit. But it would be missed if it was gone. The other thing, without getting into spoilers, is that there's a certain story element introduced in this film that adds a lot of confusion and makes things a bit more convoluted. So, if you're a younger Marvel fan, you're either going to be really confused by this or you're just not going to care at all. So, and I think it's the latter, which is what Anthony and Joe Russo, the directors, want us to be thinking about this. So, again, trying to avoid spoilers, but there is something in here which adds more questions while also providing some answers. But yeah, it'll leave you scratching your head in some instances, and if you think about it too much, you're probably going to get yourself a headache. So let's talk about the characters. Well, you've got 21 films building up to this, so the characters at this point are really quite well developed. There's some better off than others. I think Tony Stark and Captain America, for example, are very much the lead characters. They've very much got the most depth and the most backstory, and they're certainly the most interesting things about this film. But all the characters work. There are certain characters who are interacting with each other for the first time, and their relationships work really well. They're really just bouncing off one another as if they've known each other for years. Because at this point, while they might not have shared scenes together, while they might not have had conversations on screen together, they've probably known each other for a while. They've been doing all the press events and so on for such a long time now. So you can see that they've just got a natural chemistry with one another because they have been working with each other for 10, 11 years, some of them. And because they've been working with each other for 10, 11 years, the character arcs really work well. So, for example, Captain America and Tony Stark, again, without going into spoilers, they've got an arc that started right from day one on Iron Man that then comes to a big moment here in this film, and it really pays off. It shows you that they've got that Kevin Feige, the producer of these films, has just planned things out, and he's kind of a genius for doing this. So there's never been anything quite like this, but there is a whole story arc going through this, and the characters develop as this goes through as well. Tony Stark in this film is very different from Tony Stark in Iron Man, for example, and that's really quite impressive how they've done that. But they say a superhero film, is only as good as the villain, and in this film, the villain is Thanos again. So Thanos, I don't think he's quite as interesting this time around as he was in Infinity War, because in Infinity War he was a man on a mission. In this film, he's very much, without diving into spoilers, it's kind of the reverse now. The Avengers are the ones on the mission, and he's their target this time. So he's very much a supporting character this time, whereas in Infinity War he was arguably the main character. But that's not to say that he's bad in this film. He's really good in this film still. It's Josh Brolin as Thanos. He's intimidating and he's scary. He's still one of the best villains in probably cinema history at this point, I would say. But he does lack some of the interesting elements that were there from Infinity War. There's great dialogue, great humour, great character moments. The film really knows that you've been wanting to see certain things in this franchise for a long time, so here it is delivering them, and it feels really natural, it feels well deserved. There are some surprises in there. Not going to say who these surprises are, but there are cameos and appearances, both big and small, which really took me off guard and just made me smile and chuckle to myself because I was like, wow, I didn't know this person was in there. So yeah, I'm being very vague. One of the things I really liked about this film is that characters like Nebula, Ant-Man, and Hawkeye really get a lot of attention. You could argue at times that Hawkeye's one of the main characters in this film because he's got a huge storyline in this film. Same with Nebula, she's got a big storyline here as well, and Ant-Man obviously. But I really liked how the film focused a lot on them, and they had their moments, well-deserved payoffs here and there. And I think this is their best showing in the franchise so far. So yeah, I really think that's well deserved. Hawkeye, a lot of people don't like Hawkeye. I like Hawkeye. Same with Nebula. A lot of people don't like Nebula. I like Nebula quite a lot. So I like that these two finally get a good showing, and I don't think many people are going to be arguing about whether or not these characters are good or not by the end of this movie. So to talk about the production side of things, brilliant action. There's an action scene in this film which is by far one of the best superhero action scenes ever, hands down. So not going to say what it is, not going to talk about it much more than that. Great production values, great special effects. The special effects are absolutely brilliant in this movie. Good CGI. It all blends together really well. The cinematography is gorgeous. There are some really good shots here and there that are artistic, that are pulling from comic books, and it's really well done. It gives you a sense of scale. And speaking of that, you have to see this movie in IMAX. This film was filmed in IMAX. It's meant to be seen in IMAX. So if you can, see it in IMAX. Because you're, particularly towards the end of the film, when there's so much going on, by getting rid of what must be like 20-30% of the screen, you're actually missing out on certain things that are happening. And yes, it might just be background stuff, but it'll really add to it. And the whole film is in IMAX as well. So if you're not seeing it in IMAX, I really think you're missing out. So I've talked about how the pacing's really good with the story, and yeah, it really is good. It just keeps getting faster and faster, more action packed, and it really builds up to a hell of a finale. The ending is really good. Again, not spoiling anything just yet. The soundtrack and the score is suitably epic. It does the Avengers main theme multiple times, but it always feels natural. It always feels like, yeah, that's a right choice to do it there and then, even if it is a little repetitive. But the score also knows when to be less intrusive and to be more quiet and subdued, particularly towards the first half of the movie. So that's what I thought of Avengers Endgame. I thought it was brilliant, one of the best superhero movies ever made. So I'm going to go into spoilers in just a little bit. If you haven't seen the movie, go watch the movie, come back, watch the rest of this review. But if you are leaving, I'm Grant Burton. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at _Grant Burton. Subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate any sort of support. Leave a comment and feedback down below. Let me know what you thought of Avengers Endgame. So until next time, thanks for watching so far. Full spoilers now. You have been warned. I am going into full spoilers because I know spoilers are a huge deal about this movie. So the movie ends with a huge battle sequence, which all starts when literally every Marvel hero gathers, and then Captain America says, "Avengers assemble." Brilliant. That is, without a doubt, in my opinion, one of the best comic book superhero movie moments ever, if not the best. Like goosebumps all throughout this huge action scene. There's an army of superheroes versus Thanos and his army. It's brilliant, and I don't know how long this battle lasts, but it seems to be quite long, and there are a lot of hidden Easter eggs in there. So, for example, Howard the Duck is in that battle there somewhere apparently, and I never saw him. So this is why I need to see it in IMAX, because chances are Howard the Duck is in one of the corners or something fighting. So yeah, that's really cool that they managed to do something like that, and it makes me wonder who else is in this film that I didn't realize was there. But the film is just full of cool moments, cool elements, and story beats. Right from the word go, the film opens up just really depressing, really sad, and it's like, oh my god, this is happening. And yeah, throughout this whole film, I'm just sitting there, like, awestruck by some of the stuff that it's actually doing. And for a Disney movie, this does push the limit of what can be done. So Thanos gets his head chopped off, like, in the first 15 minutes of the movie, and you see his head get chopped off. That's so unlike Disney. Then later on, Hawkeye, or Ronan as he's called at that point, cuts someone's throat, and you see the guy holding his throat, and there's a cut and blood coming out. So unlike Disney. So I like how they've really pushed what they can do here. So I mentioned how most of the stuff is well earned and well deserved, but there was one thing which I wasn't too sure of, and that's in the final battle. There's a moment where all of the female superheroes gather together into what is, without a doubt, a cool, awesome moment. It's very cool seeing all the female characters get together and work as a team to take out the bad guys. The problem is, was it necessary? Did it feel natural? So in terms of the story and the characters, none of these people know each other, as far as we're aware. So the fact that they're all just gathering together and going girl power feels a little odd. It doesn't really make sense in terms of the story. So why are all the female characters gathering over here in this one little area? There's a bigger battle going on. So yeah, again, a cool moment. I liked it. I thought it was good, but it does leave you scratching the head when you actually think about the logics behind it. So the big thing is that at the end of the movie, Tony Stark dies. Yeah, it was a very emotional moment. I like how in his dying moments, he doesn't even speak. It's all just Robert Downey Jr. with his facial expressions, great performance, and maybe Oscar worthy? I don't know. I've heard a lot of people questioning this whether Robert Downey Jr. should get an Academy Award for this, and yeah, I'm not sure. It is a superhero film at the end of the day. They don't usually get nominations, but this is the end of a 11-year story at this point, which he kind of started. So yeah, I'm not sure if he's gonna get a nomination. Not sure if he quite deserves one. It'd be nice if he did though. But one of the things I liked about his death is that yes, he is there. He's all silent, and then you've got all the close people towards him. So you've got Pepper Potts, Spider Man, and Rhodey coming up, and they're all like saying their goodbyes and thank yous and so on. And it's all so emotional because it's the right people are coming up to him. It's not just having like it would feel so unnatural if like Black Panther came over and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, this is happening," because they don't really have a relationship. So they've really smartly picked out the right people and the right relations to do these moments with. And the same happens with Captain America when it turns out he's went to the past and has grown old with Peggy Carter, in that they have Winter Soldier and Falcon be the ones who are really getting emotional with him. So yeah, the writers and the directors have been really smart with the relationships and knowing which ones need to have some sort of closure and elements in there. But one of my favorite moments in this film was when they do the time travel and Tony Stark goes back and meets his father. I thought that whole scene, yeah, a little on the long side, could have been trimmed here or there. Particularly towards the end of that scene, I thought that was a really good moment where Tony basically gets to say his goodbye to his dad because, well, his dad was murdered and he never got that opportunity. But also just to pass along some advice as now he's a father. So I thought that was a really good moment. So I could probably go on all day talking about Avengers Endgame spoilers, but I got other things to do, if I'm completely honest. So that's my review of Avengers Endgame. I thought it was brilliant. You do have to see this movie, only if you've seen all the other movies. If this is your first Marvel movie, don't say this is your first Marvel movie. So much of it just won't resonate. So yeah, Avengers Endgame, great movie. I want to see it again at some point. But hell, IMAX cinema tickets, quite expensive. So yeah, I'm Grant Burton. Twitter, Instagram at _Grant Burton. Subscribe to my channel, I'd like that. Thumbs up, yada yada yada. Thanks for watching.